Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar about designing and managing scenes in your games with RiderFlow. So this is actually the last episode of our free episode series on game development. So we already did Rider for Unity and Rider for Unreal Engine pods. Both episodes were in English, Korean, Chinese, and Japanese. So we'll publish the recordings with all the captions. So you can check out them later if you missed something. So these free webinars actually teach you Rider and RiderFlow tips and tricks so that you can craft best games with Unity and Unreal Engine. So if you're interested in similar webinars in the future, as well as any kind of tech news about game development, please subscribe to our game development newsletter, not to miss one. So open the page by this link, scroll it down, and just fill in the form. That's it, you are in. And today our speaker, as usual, Matt Ellis. Hi, Matt, how are you doing today?
Hi, folks, doing well, thank you very much. Looking forward to another session.
Yeah, it's great to do webinars with you. Good to see you again. So today we'll be speaking about the RiderFlow. It's a free plugin for the Unity editor. You can find it on our site on JetBrains.com/RiderFlow. And you can also find in the asset store, of course. So if you just search for the RiderFlow, you'll find the asset there. And you can also install via the UPM, like Unity Package Manager. And Matt, I would like first, before we start, actually to ask you, who needs RiderFlow?
Yeah, that's a good question, because RiderFlow is a bit of a different product to what we normally build. We normally kind of build IDEs and editors, code editors for developers, for coders, and so on. But RiderFlow is really for all Unity users. It can be used by the whole team, basically, game designers, level designers, artists, coders, and everyone. It's basically trying to bring some of the productivity kind of tools that we have in the larger tools like Rider and other IDEs, and bring that into the Unity editor. So basically all Unity users, not just coders.
Okay, thank you. And you kind of mentioned Rider, so no secret, we have another product named Rider with kind of very similar name. So maybe you can just briefly highlight how these two products are different from each other.
Yeah, sure. Rider is a code editor, so it is for writing C# and also other languages as well. We support C++ and Unreal, which we're not going to talk about today because we're all about Unity today. And we support lots of great features for the developers and the coders in your team there. So we can do lots of hints and inspections to try and get your code up to a great quality there. We can run unit tests. We can find problems and guide you into best practices with Unity. But it's all about writing code, basically. Writing, running, maintaining, and navigating and working with code. A lot of great features there. RiderFlow takes some of its features from Rider as well. So in RiderFlow, we'll see there's some work with assets, and we can actually bring that asset database information into Rider as well. So when you're working with your code, you can also be working with asset data and serialized data.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And I would like to say to our audience, so if you tried RiderFlow before, or if you decide to try the RiderFlow after this session, so please do share your feedback via this email address we're sharing right now. The team is very much interested in it because we're now looking forward to the new versions where to evolve the plugin. So we're kind of looking for the feedback from our users. So please share it with us using the RiderFlow@JetBrains.com email. Okay, going to the session. So actually, as usual, the main part of the webinar was pre-recorded, but again, as usual, we're going to handle questions live. So please listen and watch the pre-recorded demo and then come up with your questions to the live Q&A in the very end. So you can share the questions in the Twitch or YouTube chat while the demo is running. So we'll try to collect them, maybe answer something on the fly, and we'll try to answer the most important questions after the session live. Yeah, so just share the questions in the chat, and we'll be handling them, as I said, on the while we're going through. And the session will be recorded and, as usual, available on YouTube. So you'll get some information about it later. And I think we're good to go. Let's start.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining. My name is Matt, and I'm a developer advocate at JetBrains. And today I'm going to talk about RiderFlow for Unity. RiderFlow is a fairly new tool we've built. And it's a little bit different to everything else we normally build. We normally build IDEs, text editors for your code. And you might be familiar with Rider for Unity as well. But RiderFlow takes some of the things we've learned from Rider and takes it and puts it into a plugin for Unity. So this is a plugin for the Unity editor itself. It is a free plugin, so you can download it from the Asset Store. You can find more information on our webpage just here, and you can click the Asset Store button there, and it'll take you straight to the Unity Asset Store where you can find information, you can download it, you can add it to your project there. Please download it, try it out for yourself, add it to your own project, and please leave us a review. Let us know how you get on. So what is RiderFlow all about? Let's go straight into some demos and have a look and see what we can do. RiderFlow is all about scene management and editing your scenes. It's about working with Unity and providing extra features and extra functionality and making you more productive while you are using the Unity editor. We've got several really useful little tools inside of RiderFlow, and I'm going to show you some of them now. So once you've installed RiderFlow itself, you can install it through the Asset Store. We've also got the ability to install it from the package manager as well. The information is on the web page and the documentation. But once it's installed, you will see that we've got a RiderFlow menu item up at the top there. This gives you access to some of the interesting features we've got. The first one of which is the Search Everywhere tool window. This is a great little feature for finding anything within your project there. It's got a nice keyboard shortcut as well, so you can quickly start typing and go and find anything within your project. So for example here, if I'm searching for log, I can go and I can find firewood logs, I can find my regular logs, and you can see that as I'm clicking these items here, they're being highlighted in my hierarchy. So we're finding game objects in my existing hierarchy. If I go a little bit further down, we can see we've got some prefabs or some other objects and assets, and I can click these and they get highlighted in the project view as well. So this window is all about navigation, getting you to a particular object that you want to use. So I can click on my firewood logs, and if I double click on it, it will navigate to me for it. It'll navigate straight to it in the scene. I can pop the window open again and I can search for something different, say fire, for example, and I can click on my fireplace and it'll be highlighted, and I can then of course double click on it and view it in the scene object, in the scene itself. Search Everywhere can do a few more interesting things as well. So I can type something like P-man and it'll match other things there as well. So you can find files like log progress manager, and so it can find my scripts in my assets, but it can also use the menus that Unity has to find menu items as well. So I can very quickly navigate to the package manager. And if I click on that, I can very quickly open up the package manager. So I don't have to look through all of Unity's menu items here to find things. I can very quickly navigate to Windows there as well. And here you can see, for example, we've got RiderFlow installed as a package in the package manager. If I bring up the window again, and if I type pman again, you can also see that we've got this item here with a cog icon. If I click that, that will actually open the package manager settings for me. So again, a very quick way of navigating around Unity without having to jump to have a look through lots and lots of menus. There are different tabs across the top as well. So if I search for sheep, I've got my All tab here, which is showing me everything. It's showing me objects, prefabs, assets, and so on. But I can filter that down and just show all the items that are in my hierarchy as well. And clicking those will highlight the items in the hierarchy. Or I can search for just my files and it'll find all of the things that are in my assets, so my prefabs and my scripts and so on. Or I can search just for actions. And funnily enough, I've got a sheep action here in the component scripts as a way for creating a new sheep. And I can very quickly run these actions and work with Unity a whole lot quicker. Now you might have noticed as we were moving around that the hierarchy itself looks a little bit different as well. One of the things we've noticed with very large projects in Unity is that it can be quite tricky to manage all of the objects that you've got in a scene. And sometimes these scenes can get very busy. And so we've introduced sections here. So what we do is we have a section such as the house here. Let's have a look at main house there. And we've given these sections a nice bright color. They've got a name, and what they are is an empty game object, which is now parent of other related objects as well. So we can then navigate around and look at all of our objects and see them all as a related thing. So we can group our objects here and manage very large hierarchies by making them a bit more easy to find the object that you want to work with. Now you notice we have other items as well. If I open up this entities one, we've got this this guide character here. This is going to be my player object, for example, but he's clearly just a placeholder object. And I've got a little note icon here there, which allows me to add notes. And I can say to do, update the player, put in a proper character here rather than my placeholder object. And we've got a little to do item here as well. And if we go back to our menu, we can look at notes. And here we get a tool window down the bottom, which shows us all of the notes that are in the project. And I've got a checkbox to say show only to-dos or show all of the notes that are in the project. And this is a great way for leaving notes to remind yourself that something needs to be done, to be finished, and to work through them. But it's also great because you can share these notes with your team. So all of this information that's saved with RiderFlow can be shared amongst the team. So we can share the section grouping that we've got here. We can share the notes that are attached, and we can share other data here as well. And we can share that data with the team, or if you choose, you can exclude that from source control. It's all saved in one folder where you can exclude the folder itself and share with the team, or just keep it to yourself. It's your choice. So it's very easy to add in another note, and I can say, I like this sheep, and that object now is, that note is now saved and is available now and can be shared amongst the team. There's another icon here as well. We can see these little star icons. This allows us to favorite our objects as well. So if I'm busy working in a scene and I'm working on a handful of different objects, on 4 or 5 different objects, and I want to easily move between them, I can star them and make them as my favorites. And if we go over to the scene view itself, we've now got a RiderFlow toolbar added into the scene with a few options here. And this one at the end is a way of looking at our favorites, at our bookmarks. You click that, and we've got a nice menu, and I can now navigate around and jump between the objects that I'm really using in this scene. What's really nice with that is that we can use keyboard shortcuts as well. So if I use Alt and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that takes me to the 4th item in the toolbar there, shows me the pop-up menu, and then I can use Alt 1, Alt 2, Alt 3, and Alt 4 to very quickly navigate around. It's a great way to navigate between the objects that you're working on in a scene. We have other items here as well. We have cameras presets. So again, if you're working with a scene, you want to move the camera around, you want to navigate around the scene and look at things from a different point of view, and you want to move around and see what's going on. And so you can save those presets and navigate around. So for example, if I want to focus on my player character there, I can add a new preset of player, for example. And if I create that now, I can move back to my main house to check something, and then back to my player, and we're back to the, we can very quickly move around these camera presets and navigate around the scene to look to see how things work differently. And again, this all works with keyboard shortcuts. I can do Alt 3 to show the menu, and I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, and move around the different presets. And once I'm finished with it, I can simply delete it and move on. Now we have another search icon here, which is very interesting. So we have 2 different searches within RiderFlow. We have Search Everywhere, which is all about navigation. I want to go and find my hierarchy object. I want to find my assets. I want to find my actions and work with them. But this one is slightly different. This one is a toolbar which we can pin, and we can drag that around. So we'll just grab that. And then I can start typing, and I can type, say, fire. Let me just resize that. Oops. And what I can do is I can use that to drag and drop and put items on. I've lost it. Where is it? There it is. Put items onto the scene. I can do things like, well, let's move to a slightly better view. Let's try that one. And if I go back to my object, pin that one again, and put it over here. If I search for something like log, I can drag and drop those on. Again, I've lost him. Search for tree. I can very easily drag the trees onto the scene view, and I can do that sort of multiple times now. I can leave this window open and use that then to add lots of objects very quickly into my scene. So this makes it very easy to be able to drag items onto the scene and to edit your scene as you go. One thing I didn't show you with the scene view, with the hierarchy view, is once you've got items there, is creating the sections there. So if I've just added a whole bunch of new trees, and let's say we've got some bushes, I can select all of those items, I can right click, and I can do create section, and I can do and call those trees, and I can give that a nice new color. Let's go with orange, and I can add a note here to say these are the trees. And now we can see now we've got our tree section here. We've got a note going on there as well, and I can then add favorites as I need to as we go around. Okay, let's just quickly switch to my project view here. One of the things we really want to be able to do is when you're working with assets is to find out where these assets are being used. So for example, here I've got my sheep prefab. I really want to be able to update this prefab or see where it's being used in the scene. And so I can right click on this, and I can right click and do find usages. And this will now show me a tool window of where this prefab is being used. And we can see here that it's being used inside the scene I've got open, the RiderFlow demo scene. And I've got my sheep, and double clicking on that will navigate to the first object and navigate to the second object. Let me just spin these guys around a little. So we can see I can navigate around those quickly. Oops. But it's also being used inside another folder as well, and inside another scene. So I can see it's being used inside demo.unity. So RiderFlow doesn't just work with the current scene, it works across all scenes that you've got saved, even scenes that are not currently open. So I can select my items here and I can move between them. But I've got another way of working with that as well. So if I just go and find my sheep again, if I select my prefab, I can do show usages in the scene. And this is a great way of highlighting in the scene what's being used and how. So for example, I can see very clearly now that everything is shown in gray, apart from my two objects there. I've got my two sheep which are highlighted. And you can see my toolbar now has a slightly wider view here with a drop down which I can select the different objects that are being used there as well. I can use the up down arrows to navigate between the two different sheeps, and also I can drop down and go on there as well. And we can then also toggle the highlighting to show or hide where these are being used. So now I can see where my sheep are being used, but what happens now if I want to change them? Because actually I want these perhaps to be enemy characters rather than nice, cute sheep. So I want to replace them. So perhaps these are placeholder objects as well. Well, one thing I can do with RiderFlow is to use a replace objects refactoring. So we can do refactorings in Rider, and we've brought this idea into RiderFlow as well. So the idea is that you can change the objects that you're working with. I can select multiple items there, right click, and use this replace with item to show my toolbar again. And now I can search for other items here, and change them to be a fireplace. I can use the replace button to immediately replace, or if I use this little arrow to show items there, I've got different options that I can use when I'm replacing. So I can make sure that I'm preserving the name, the tags, the layers, the parents, the positions and rotation, and so on. But I can also unpack prefab instances. So if I'm replacing with a prefab, I can replace with a prefab instance, or I can unpack that and replace the whole lot. So let me just use the default options, and I'll click replace, and very quickly there, very easily, RiderFlow has replaced my 2 sheep with some fireplaces. It's a very nice, easy way of updating placeholder objects, replacing these objects for more correct, proper items. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you, I've still got my sheep item here, is working with code. So obviously Rider is a great code editor and is what you want to be using for when you want to do write a lot of code, but sometimes you just want to make a quick change. And so what we've done in RiderFlow is we've added a code editor. If you right click on a C# file, you can use open the code editor, and you'll get a new tool window opening here, which will show you a nice syntax highlighted version of the file there. So you can use this to very quickly look at your code, to read your code, and to make nice, simple changes here as well. So let's say I actually wanted to change that to be 5. I can very quickly make that change. I can click save. I can click save and compile, and the code will be saved, it'll be compiled, and those changes will be available immediately. So that is a very quick overview of RiderFlow. We've got a lot of interesting features for you there. We've got scene management, where we can group your hierarchy into sections. We can add notes to the sections to share amongst the team. We can add favorites in the hierarchy as well, so you can very quickly navigate between the different objects that you're working on. And then we have a scene view as well. We have a scene view toolbar to allow us to navigate between our favorites, our bookmarks, to save and navigate between camera presets. So you can very quickly see the scene in different angles while you're working with it. And of course, we've got a search toolbar there for dragging items onto your scene and editing your scene very quickly and finding things. We can do find usages, and we can find where a prefab or other assets are being used inside your scenes, and that works across all scenes, even closed scenes. And finally, we can show those assets, so we can show those usages directly in the scene with highlighting, so we can hide any kind of object that is not important and only show the important objects. We can also replace those objects as well, so make it very quick and easy to work with placeholder objects. And finally, we've got a simple code editor as well. All of this is RiderFlow. This is a free plugin for Unity Editor. It's available from the Asset Store, so please download it, try it with your projects, and leave us a review on the Asset Store and let us know how you get on. Thank you very much for watching.
Hey, thank you, Matt, for the nice demo. It was really awesome. Thank you.
It's a cool tool. I do like this, I gotta say.
Yeah, actually, it looks like it was mentioned in the comments on YouTube, and I think we forgot to tell our listeners a very important thing. RiderFlow is free, actually. Hey, so you can just grab it from the Asset Store and use. So it doesn't require any license. So it's absolutely free.
Absolutely free.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe let's go through some questions. Some of them were really interesting. So let's start with the one about the notes. So while sharing the notes and how to work with them, so the question was did Matt told us how and where those notes are stored? I think this is important.
Yeah, it is important. It's useful. They're all just stored in the project. They're stored as simple text files, JSON, if I remember rightly, and they're stored in the assets folder under a new folder called riderflow.userdata. nice, easy name to remember. You can commit that into source control, and if you do, the whole team gets them. So you can then benefit from all the notes, the to-do comments, but also your favorite items, your bookmarks, your camera presets as well. All of those can be shared or excluded as well. So you can easily do, if you're using Git, for example, you can have a Git ignore file to just ignore those folders so they are kept private, or you can check them in and share them with the team. We expect most people will share them with the team.
Yeah, and I think that also covers the second question regarding the Git about like any kind of recommendations for using RiderFlow and Git. So you can just use it.
Yeah, just use it. They're text files. They should be fine. We try and sort the data so that it should merge quite nicely as well. So hopefully all will be well.
Okay, then the next question, which you maybe can cover here, is how to update the tool and if it's backward compatible in terms of the newer versions.
Yep. We want to keep it backwards compatible. We can read the notes information from previous versions, and we'll try and keep that up to date as we go. How you update it kind of depends on how you've installed it as well. The easiest way is install it as a UPM package, because then you can just use the package manager to update it. The package manager will see that there's a new version. You click install, and it will just reload it and update it for you. That's absolutely the easiest way. Alternatively, then you're just going to have to update it manually in the same sort of way that you would update other assets from the asset store. So UPM is my preferred way of doing it.
Yeah, okay. So, and since we're talking about the updates, maybe you can share the insights. How often do we roll out the new versions of the RiderFlow? So what is the release cycle?
Yeah, well, one of the nice things about RiderFlow being different to the other tools that we've got is that we can do a slightly different release cycle. We're not stuck with this. Well, not stuck. We're not following the same pattern as when we release Rider and the other products that we do. So basically, we're releasing them every couple of months, and we are releasing them kind of every couple of months, but also when we've got something to release. And so if we get more feedback and more features or fixes or whatever, then we can do it more often, basically. So let us know. Tell us what you want to see in RiderFlow. Tell us if you get any problems, and we'll update them.
Thank you. And again, since we're talking about the updates, the video was recorded some time ago, and since the release cycle for RiderFlow is much shorter, I would expect quite a lot of things which already landed in the tool, which were not available at the time you were recorded. Maybe you can share what's new.
Yeah. So I was using a version or two ago in the video there, and there have been quite a few updates since then. A lot of things to do with performance. So we've kind of stabilized the features that we've got at the minute, but we've looked at performance, things like working with large scenes. So bookmarks and creating game objects and the sections for those. So working with very large scenes. Also put some performance issues with scrolling in the inbuilt code editor. And again, looking at large files there, want to make that scrolling a lot better. A couple of other things we've done is that we've reduced the size of the asset itself. So the RiderFlow is based on stuff that we've built as part of Rider. And so we bring in chunks of Rider there. And we've been, as time's gone on, we've been sort of optimizing that size as well. So we're reducing it and reduced it down, and it's all sort of downloaded in the background now as well, rather than sort of being downloaded all up front and ready for you. And in fact, there's some things which will work even without that backend downloaded. So what else have we done? Oh yeah, really useful one is we accept Chinese, Japanese, and Korean text in the note and code editors. So that's very useful for everyone working in a non ASCII Latin language there. So that's really good. We will show some progress indicators for long-running activities. And what else have we got in there? Let me just check my list. So just some various fixes, like fixing things with indexing assets for the find usages when Rider itself has got it disabled. So there's a lot of useful features, performance updates, and fixes in there as well.
Thank you very much, Matt, for that. So, and maybe you can also share what's on the roadmap.
Well, I mean, talking about reducing the size of RiderFlow, we're going to carry on working on that as well. And in fact, we're reducing the size of the chunk of Rider that we sort of download and store there to do that. And we're actually reducing it to about a third of its current size. So it's only about 130 megs. So that's going to be much quicker to download and get up and running there. We're also doing a number of fixes for Unity 2022.2, due to various API changes and whatnot, and making sure everything works nicely there with the toolbars and so on. And we're going to look at making it a little bit easier to open the code editor. So right now you have to go and find your C# script file, right-click on it, open in the code editor. We want to be able to do that from, say, the context menu in the script editor, the script inspector. And so you can very sort of quickly get there. And once you're in the code editor, it's great for making small, quick fixes and small edits. But if you want to do a bit more work and you want to jump to your actual external editor, such as Rider, then we want to add a button there to launch the product, launch the main external editor.
Yeah, and maybe if you have a feature in mind, you can just voice it and it will be in the roadmap next.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you let us know those information there, those ideas, those requests, then yeah, we'd love to see what else we can build and add to RiderFlow.
Yeah, thank you. Just a few more questions about the RiderFlow and how it works. So the question was, does RiderFlow make Rider the default C# editor if you have Rider installed?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't change any of your defaults for you, so you can still get to choose whatever external editor you want to use. Obviously, we'd prefer it if you use Rider. We think there's a lot of
Right.
really cool features in Rider that you will benefit from. Not least the fact that we can index your assets and show where your serialized data is being used, what your serialized data is while you're in Rider. But basically, no, we're not changing any preferences there. It's all up to you.
Yeah, thank you. Talking about the editor, so does the editor have code completion?
It doesn't. No, it's designed for sort of simple, quick changes to be able to to make quick changes without having to fire up a full external editor there. And so we've kept it simple, and it is got syntax highlighting, and you can edit your code, but no code completion.
Okay, thank you. And maybe like the last question, I'm not sure I get it fully, but hopefully you can get it. So the built-in code editor is really cool. I'm guessing there isn't much of a plan to make it too elaborate of an editor to keep the package size small. Would I be correct with this?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that follows straight on there, really. We believe that the code editor sort of built into Unity, into the Unity editor, is really just for quick edits rather than being a full environment for changing your code. And we think we can give you a better experience in a proper external editor. So yeah, right now the idea is to keep the built-in code editor in RiderFlow nice and simple, so that you can make quick changes and make quick fixes and so on, but then use a full editor for more detailed work in the code.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Thank you. And I think that's it in terms of the questions. I see that many people actually in the chat are willing to try the RiderFlow, so we will really appreciate if you do and share your feedback with us. So you can find all the information about the RiderFlow on our site, like JetBrains.com/RiderFlow. You can also find the plugin in the asset store. In blog, JetBrains.com/.net. So we, from time to time, do post about the RiderFlow, among other products for like .NET we do. Also, there is a Twitter account you can follow, RiderFlow, and we do publish videos on RiderFlow and our other tools, including the tools for game development, at our channel in like on YouTube. And there is also quite a detailed web help. So you can go to jetbrains.com/help/RiderFlow. So you can learn how to install, for example, the plugin or which features are available there. So if you miss something in the web help, also let us know so that we can update it. And I think that's it for today. So thank you for being with us for this specific webinar and for the whole series. If you are with us for all 3 episodes, that's actually great. Thank you very much. And thank you, Matt, for doing that. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, bye.
Bye, folks.